always tell people when I get in front of them, it's a privilege and an honor to be able to be in front of you. For me, it's actually, you know, I consider it a blessing as well, because had I stayed with the amount of time that I was supposed to when I first was convicted of my crime, I would still have, this is 16, I still have 15 years to do. So it's a blessing to me to even be here in front of you today. At the age of 18, I was incarcerated, and I ended up being tried and convicted twice of crimes that don't even exist under North Carolina law. Had 2 trials and a resentencing hearing. While inside, you know, as Cheryl said, you know, there's a lot of things that you go through to be able to cope with being in there. And one of the things that a lot of people will tell you is, you know, you don't show emotions. So you get to the point where you just cut yourself off from really feeling anything, because the only acceptable emotion inside the prison system is anger, or you know, anything of anger or violence. So it kind of trains you in that way of thinking. So at the age of 33, I get out of prison to a whole new world. To me, it's like I had been in a coma and awoken from that coma, and the whole world had changed. Right before I went away, the internet had just came out. There was a commercial not too long ago. It was funny because I was watching TV, and there was an old commercial that they had showed with Ann Curry and I think Brian Gumbel. And when they was first talking about the internet and everything coming out, and they was like, what's that symbol with the A with the circle around it? And they was talking about the differences. And so that's what my life was like, you know, coming from that, where cell phones were huge, unless you had some kind of, unless you had pretty good money. I think they started having smaller cell phones. But by the time I got out, you know, it's the first time I ever talked on a cell phone. I'm talking into the bottom of it. People looking at me, they're like, what are you doing? I was like, talking on the phone. They don't do it. And they said, you don't have to do that. They're like, just, you know, put it up to your ear, they can hear you. I would walk around in stores, and I'd hear somebody talking to me, and I'd turn around and ask them, huh? And they wasn't talking to me. They had these little things in their ear, and for the life of me, I could not understand how somebody could hear them by just a little thing being in their ear so far away from their mouth. And the first time, and I'm trying to get crude or anything, but the first time I ever went in into a bathroom, toilet flushed on its own. I wasn't expecting that. It was kind of a shock. But then I go to wash my hands, and as I approach the sink, there's no way to turn on the water. So, you know, I'm looking, and all of a sudden the water comes on. I guess I got close enough. I didn't see the little sensor up there, but I'm looking around, and I'm wondering, I'm like, who's watching me to know to turn on this water when I put my hands under it? Because there was an old show years ago that where this woman, she had got a job at a department store, and they actually had her behind a, you know, a two-way mirror, actually making sure people didn't steal. So this is what came to my mind, because that's the only thing that I could think of, how this water could just come on. Being able to come out and try to adjust to not only society being changed, but to me being changed. Because in my mind state, all I know is being an 18-year-old. But I'm no longer no 18-year-old. And, you know, I used to go places, and it's just, it was so weird to me, the fact that, you know, I was just so much older than what I thought I was. And this whole experience has been, I tell people, I even said it, we was in New York, it's kind of like putting an animal from the wild into a zoo. And it has to adapt to that environment, but then that animal cannot go back into its natural environment and function normally. So it's a process of trying to get back what I lost, what I never had, and trying to see what it's like to be an adult and have the responsibilities and have to pay the bills and having to be this different person. And so this is my story, and this is how I've been affected and how my life has been since prison.